Hi, it is pumpkin pie spice time, and so we've got to make pumpkin pie spice muffins, but we've got to keep it as low carb as we can. So that's what we've attempted to do here, to have the pumpkin flavor, keeping it low carb, and being ready for the fall season. Okay, I'm going to start with butter. This is 4 ounces of butter. It's at room temperature, so not melted. You don't want your butter to get actually too warm. That's butter, and I'm going to use 4 ounces of cream cheese, so 4 ounces of both. Now we're going to just make these muffins, so we're not going to put cream cheese on them, but you can make a wonderful glaze with cream cheese or with white chocolate, cocoa butter, to make it really special. But let's just keep it basic for now. 4 ounces of butter and 4 ounces of cream cheese. Going to cream that together. Oops. I'm going to have to take a little bit of parchment paper off of that, and it's sitting on. There's something in there, parchment paper or something. All right, start over. Now I'm going to put brown sugar in here. Now this is Sukrin Gold. It's not real brown sugar, but it is a blend of erythritol. So this is Sukrin Gold. The package is this. I love this stuff. It's low carb, and there's nothing quite like it in the low carb world. In fact, it tastes so much to me like brown sugar. In another video, I talked about brown sugar, and people were like, that's not low carb. This is erythritol based, and it is in fact a low carb brown sugar, and I like it much better than adding molasses. Now if you don't have Sukrin Gold, you can put a teaspoon or so of molasses in your preferred sweetener, or just use your preferred sweetener, and don't worry about the brown sugar flavor. Gonna mix that really well. Gosh, I can't quite get the speed right. Okay, so far we've got 4 ounces of cream cheese, 4 ounces of butter, and 3/4 of a cup of Sukrin Gold brown sugar substitute. Now let's put our eggs in. This is going to be nut-free muffins, so no almond flour in this. I'm using coconut flour, and I'm using oat fiber instead. Now, both of them are fairly dry, and both of them need help with structure. So I'm going to put 5 eggs. 5 eggs seems like a lot, but when you're using almond flour, it needs more eggs. I'll put it a little at a time and mix it as I go. Fall is one of my favorite times of the year because the temperature finally gets reasonable here in North Carolina. And you feel like being outside, whereas the summer you've spent hiding from the heat. Another egg. And I'm just putting those in one at a time and blending it up as I go. Last egg. All right. All of this smells so amazing. All right, I'm going to add in my pumpkin. Now, I'm using a carefully measured 1/2 cup of pumpkin. A lot of these muffin recipes call for a full can of pumpkin. Keep in mind that they're trying to make sure I've done the math correctly. There's 10 carbs per 1/2 cup. So this is 10 total carbs that I'm adding overall. If I put a full can in, I would be adding 35 total carbs. So we're minimizing this to 10, and it still has a really great pumpkin flavor. Pumpkin provides some moisture, and depending on the kind you're using, the brand you're using, there's different levels of moisture. The Trader Joe's actually is pretty wet compared to the other. So using a 1/2 cup works well with the oat fiber and the coconut flour, which is pretty absorbent. Pretty thirsty. I've heard coconut flour called thirsty before. Okay, at this point, I'm going to mix a little bit of the dry ingredients together. This is a glucomannan. No, I'm sorry, there's no glucomannan. This is salt. This is 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. This is a 1/4 teaspoon of salt because I'm using salted butter. And I'm just going to blend this all in, probably stir it by hand. This is 1/3 cup of coconut flour. So let's put in 1/3 cup of coconut flour. Lots of carbs, but again, we're spreading this over at least 12 muffins. And then oat fiber is pure insoluble fiber, so it doesn't have the carbs. Let's throw that in. And we're gonna put in our 1½ teaspoon of baking powder. Did I tell you how much oat fiber I put in? I don't even remember. It's 1/4 of a cup. So 1/3 cup of coconut flour, 1/4 cup of oat fiber, 1½ teaspoons of baking powder, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt if you're using unsalted butter, 1/2 teaspoon if you're using salted. And I'm terrible about giving those ratios out. All right, let's mix this in. Now, what I'm also finding is that there is a difference among brands of oat fiber. And so some are thirstier than others, some have a stronger flavor. I tend to use Life Source that I buy at Nutrition. Really, really like that brand of oat fiber, and I have not had problems with it being too strong. I did buy some from Honeyville, and it was just really strong. In fact, I bought some of the Nutrition brand and mixed it to kind of lessen the intensity. Let's season this. Now, I've got 1/4 cup of heavy cream. I don't think I'm gonna need it, but this is also one of those things where coconut flour and oat fiber will get dry over time. So I've got 1/4 cup. I'll add it if we need it. That is 1½ teaspoons of vanilla extract. And these last flavors, I'm kind of hesitant to recommend stuff because everybody likes a different flavor with their pumpkin pie spice. What I'm going to use is 1 teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice. That's 1 teaspoon. This is a 1/2 teaspoon measure. And I don't like too much of the pumpkin pie spice. I'll just be very honest about it. I like the cinnamon, so I'm gonna add another 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon to this blend. Really love that smell. And then I like cloves. If you don't like cloves, leave this part out. But it is one of my favorite spices. And I'm going to use about 1/4 teaspoon, not quite a whole, because I don't want to overpower it. And pumpkin pie spice is not a favorite in my family, so probably I'll be the one who eats these. I'll put them in the freezer or share them. This is a maple extract. This is optional. I am using 1 teaspoon of maple extract. This is something I buy on Amazon. I'll put the link in the recipe in the video description. But it just provides a really great flavor for pumpkin pie spice and anything kind of this fall type season. Okay, let's mix this in. And it is so much more dry just sitting there while I added all of those flavorings. So I am gonna add the heavy cream. It's 1/4 cup. And you can do less. You could try 2 tablespoons, kind of see what it looks like for you. And then after I get this mixed up, I am going to taste for sweetness. I will add some liquid sweetener if it's not sweet enough. But with the 3/4 cups of the Sukrin Gold, I think it should be fine. I don't like things nearly as sweet as I used to. Okay. I've got some other muffins in the oven, so I'm looking over at those to see how they look. Okay, let's give this a try. Anybody want to try this for sweetness? I think I've got a taker. You want to try just the edge? See what you think? I think it needs a little more sweetener. What do you think? It does need more sweetener? Okay, Gracie says it does, so I'm going to put 4 drops, oops, 5, of my liquid sucralose. Use your preference. You could use stevia. Stevia works great with erythritol, so that's a really good option. Now, I could add to this some walnuts or pecans. That would be really good. Or put it on top like a streusel. So let's get this in here. Actually, what works really well is not my spatula, but a spoon. And I really like to use my, I like to use this, my ladle. It's perfect. for this kind of thing. Thank you, Elf. I'm just going to mix this in, and I am going to sprinkle the tops. Oops, that's a little too much. I'll have to go back and fix that. I put too much. You want these a little bit more than 3/4 full. They will rise just a bit. And I'm just going to put, this will make a dozen good size muffins. Now you could do this in a loaf pan. It's really easy to do that way as well. I keep getting too much in my, let's try this again. There we go. And what I am going to do, I don't have pecans at the ready or walnuts either, but either would be great. I am just going to sprinkle brown sugar over the tops. Actually, yeah, let me do it like this. And this is the Sukrin Gold, so remember I'm calling it brown sugar, but it is an erythritol blend. I'm going to sprinkle that over the top like this. These need a few more minutes. Like this. And like I said, you could add nuts. Nuts will add some carbs. And I'm not going to do that one because I'm going to take some of that batter out. And then I'm going to get the cinnamon and just shake a little over the top like this. Ooh, it's going to be so yummy. And then we'll bake them in the oven at 360 for about 15 to 20 minutes. We'll check it in just a bit and we'll see what it looks like. So our pumpkin pie spice muffins are out of the oven, and I'm the only one in the family who really likes them. So let's give them a try. I actually did pull them apart to take some pictures, and if you count, you'll see there is 1 or 2 missing. These are really good. The cinnamon and Sukrin brown sugar substitute that I put on top really gives it a nice punch of flavor. They're dense, they're really moist, I guess because of the pumpkin. So they're not light like the blueberry cream cheese muffins or the chocolate chip muffins. These are much heavier. They're crunchy. I don't know if you could hear that crunch, but from the Sukrin Gold and the cinnamon, there is a crunch. Like I said, I could have put some walnuts or pecans on top and really done a streusel topping, but it would have added more carbs. This is really perfect for fall. It would be great to put on the table at Thanksgiving. You could probably make a pumpkin bread with it if you wanted to, or just have it in the morning with your pumpkin pie spice coffee. I hope that if you make these pumpkin pie spice muffins at your house, that you enjoy them too.